Welcome to the Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Another episode today, and we have somebody which I guess most of you who are watching know, and if not, you will know him in this show, and it's really nice speaking to him. It's Sebastian, the connector. Don't forget to mention this one. The rest I cannot read because it's Chinese, but it's the connector Herz. And it's a pleasure to have you on today. Please, before I begin to introduce you with the company Signify and all of this, let's just start and let us know a little bit more about yourself, where you're based at the moment, and then we slowly take it from there.
Omar, thanks for the introduction. I mean, you made even me smile. It's awesome to be on the show, so thanks a lot for having me. And even nicer, I mean, we just talked about, where did we meet? And obviously one of our common stops was the World E-commerce Forum in Istanbul.
Exactly.
And we were semi-working, semi-not. There was a racing simulator, and we just got out of the racing simulator, and Vincenzo Toscano introduced me to Omar, and we said, hey, Omar, you know what? Your turn. And all of a sudden, look where the connections take you. So connecting, I mean, this is part of life. This always helps one another. And if you know a solution, why wouldn't you help somebody else to have that same thing as well, as long as you're not your competitor? So thanks a lot for the intro and welcoming me. Background, you asked, what is my background? Well, we are Amazon sellers ourselves. We have two own brands since 2014. We sell them on Amazon. We sell them on our Shopify web shop as well. The first brand is in a bit more than 1,000 stores, big box retail stores in Germany. Second brand, not yet, but we'll get there. We have our sourcing company. We have an event company where we host events for Amazon sellers ourselves, and help another business helping others to bring their products into the big box retail, and a few more other projects on the side, but that would probably be too far to go.
Great, that's amazing. And you know what I will do? Because I have the video actually when we were sitting in the Formula One car, and I will when you were saying this, I will just build this one in, and then everyone can see what we're talking about. That's I think that's a great idea. Just came through my head like this.
What happened?
And definitely.
Something that came to my head still. Sorry, you asked me where I am. Best regards, good morning from Germany currently.
Oh, really? Which part of Germany?
The eastern part. It's if this is Germany, if Munich is down here, Berlin is up here, this is where Leipzig is, a little bit more on the east side.
In the middle. Okay.
Pretty much in middle of Germany, a little bit more to the east.
Yeah, that's great. So sunny day, I guess, sunny Germany. Maybe not.
No.
Great. So let's start with a few questions for you, because I know there is a lot there until you got there. Obviously, you passed a lot of things. Would be great to hear, how did you got to a global product sourcing company? Because from what I know, if you want to work with bigger Chinese sellers or Chinese manufacturers, it's not enough just to click on Alibaba and order 100 products. The best would be obviously to fly there, to build relationships over years, maybe to change a lot of different manufacturers in order to at the end find the good one, build with this good one a relationship, and then make millions. But I'm not the expert in this. This is just theory. So let me know how this all went and how you got there where you are today.
Well, the original way of getting into into building an FBA business or doing sourcing from China was before this life. I had a different one, and I'm actually a university graduate engineer of electrical engineering and industrial automation, which sounds weird.
Everyone is an engineer.
Come again?
Vincenzo is as well an engineer,
Yes. They're good people engineers, I've heard.
Definitely, definitely.
No, well, I'm an electrical engineer, industrial automation engineer, and I've stayed with actually the world market leader in industrial automation, which is called ABB. Hardly anybody knows the company, but they're massive. Back then, they used to have like 145,000 people worldwide, and I stayed with them for 12 years in total. And
12
part
years.
of that was
Okay. Wow.
12 years before actually literally starting my old. Yep, I'm older than I look, I guess.
They're everywhere. ABB is everywhere on the trains and stuff, right? I see the logo in my head, like. Okay.
Yeah, the red logo with the white crosses, the
yes.
Swiss company. Correct. Okay. I stayed with them for 7 years in Germany. And then I asked them, hey, you know what? I want to have a little bit of a challenge, and I'd love to go abroad again. I've been earlier abroad as a high school student, went to the US, had the honor of staying there for a year, finishing my US high school, coming back to Germany, blah, blah. And then later I said, hey, you know what? I'd love to go abroad again, but this time in a professional matter. Means, I want to go for ABB, send me somewhere. And they offered to me to go to Sweden. I was like, Sweden, dude, that's like Europe. And then I had the offer of Singapore, and I was like, Singapore, that's Asia for beginners. I wanted to specifically go to China. And this is where I got. And I went there for the oil and gas business, chemical, pharmaceutical. This was the industry we're in. Stayed in China, got to know my better half, who is now a partner with me for more than 10 years. And co-founder of Signify Global Product Sourcing. Well, the secret there is she's, the real brain behind it. She's been doing sourcing for 18 years.
Same here.
So yes, really? You were saying 18 years in the business? Wow.
No. We're 10 years in the business. What I mean is same here is my my actual partner, my better half, my wife is running the business in the back. Yes.
Look at that. It's like... Yeah, behind every successful woman stands a man, right? Or something like that.
Exactly.
And yeah, I got to know her there. And actually in the last, I've been doing so many hours or overtime in ABB that I, in the end, before finishing my China time, I got another promotion, went then actually to Singapore, stayed there for a couple of more years, and I had a higher position, had a other job. And in the last month, actually, before leaving China, I just asked him, like, you know what, guys, I've done a little bit too much. I've done, I think in 2.5 years, I've done overtime worth 7 full man months. So I worked 7 full-time months more than was necessary. So I asked him for a little bit of time off, can I take a couple of days or weeks off? Of course, I don't get the 7 months back. This was all unasked, unpaid overtime. But then Julia, she came to me and was like, Sebastian, you're annoying. You have nothing to do. Here's something for you to do. Go dig into it. And it was the podcast by Scott Volker. It was The Amazing Seller, I believe, back then it was called, in 2013 or so. And I started listening to this and I was like, hey, that sounds reasonable. I mean, he explains how you get products, how you find them, how you produce them. And my original thought was like, why don't I take this thing and, translate it into German and teach it to the Germans? And I was like, nah, just, copying something and translating and pushing it through, that's just not me. So why not start doing those things literally on your own? And this is how I got into FBA. And now, well, we were in China. I was at the source. In China, it was back then already quite common to get same day or next day delivery. So I went online to the Taobao or to the local Chinese pages and looked like, hey, what kind of products could be interesting? Like, boom, order, boom, order, boom, order. And I just got the stuff, always shipped into the house. So actually, we picked it up at the reception. We used to live in one of those big luxury condos because the company paid for it. And so I just looked. In the beginning, it was, those small turtles with speakers on there and that project light into the ceiling that you can give your toddlers so they fall asleep. And I was like, that'll be interesting. But then I thought, electrical product, baby product, that probably needs some certifications, even though back then nobody was really thinking about, product security. And well, I started with the first product, and it took me actually 1.5 years to understand that person over here on the other side of the bed could actually do sourcing for my products. Julia has been doing this day in and day out. And this is pretty much then how it all started. And we thought, hey, we can do sourcing for ourselves. She can do sourcing. And then once we came back to Germany, she had some customers doing sourcing for her. And then it spread somewhat in the Amazon universe. And they heard, hey, you guys can do sourcing. You can do sourcing for others. And it's like, yeah. So it grew out of own demand. And I guess it's probably the same for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely, it started kind of like this, as well. At some point I touched a little bit the sourcing as well, but it was not my main thing, because it was very demanding, because I was flying from Europe into Thailand, for example, bought boxing stuff, put it on my back, and then walk through customs. Obviously, they didn't talk with me back then. It was a bit different, nobody cared whatever you bring, it's just it was different. But anyway, I was not the sourcing guy, but it definitely started like this small, and then it went bigger. And did they, just a question, did they give you something these 7 months, or did they give you any holidays or anything of that kind, or just
I had 3 weeks left over, or 4 weeks left over of annual vacation. And I think I had like 2 weeks or so 10 days off.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, nobody asked me for this over hours. I did this out of my own will, own drive. So
yeah, sure. That's really why I'm asking. Because why I'm asking is I did exactly the same. And they just told me, yeah, whatever, if you want to go, And after 10 years, you expect some like, yes, you can work from home, or yes, you can do this. Nothing. So I said, okay, that's fine. I already, obviously I built already in the back my business. So I could, I knew that I could just say, okay, that's it, I'm going to leave. But obviously it would be great to get something from, like, maybe a month of vacation or something like that. But big companies are not known for being very understandable and letting
everyone time, unless you have a contract, have it written in a contract. But they knew I'm not gonna leave, because I already signed the contract for Singapore, so they transferred me to Singapore in a different position. Okay, so they knew I'm gonna stay. Obviously, getting an upgrade here, getting a different country. Sure, I was back then sick of the air in Beijing. I mean, wearing FFP2 masks in 2013, 14 was normal to me. So yeah, just because of the air pollution.
Okay, amazing. And then Singapore, how was Singapore?
Awesome.
Did anything really like amazing went down in Singapore? I mean, some sourcing, something of that kind, or is not really the sourcing country?
No, I mean, sourcing in Singapore, they don't really produce anything. There's an egg farm, which we actually, it's a chicken farm and egg farm. We found this thing, and we literally went there and we said, you know what, we want to automate that with AVB. And we won the project. So we actually automated the chicken farm, I think, with like, they produced, I think in the original, I think they produced like 700,000 or 800,000 eggs in a day. And I think they wanted to upgrade over the next few years to make like 2.5 million eggs or so. So I think they had like 700,000, 800,000 chicken there. But that's pretty much it. In Singapore, there's not much more sourcing. No, I mean, but Singapore, it was a definite upgrade. I mean, after China, it's a really fine city. I mean, you'll be fined for everything you do wrong. But at the same time, it's amazing. And within 50 years, they grew from third world country into one of the top countries in the world. I mean, it's a fantastic country. It's nice and warm, hot and humid, which is not the greatest. But I mean, you're in Dubai. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Definitely. It's the same. It's about the same temperature right now, like humidity wise.
But it's a lovely living condition, or outdoor eating all the time. You go out for dinner, you have fantastic time. So love it.
Definitely. I love Singapore. I mean, it's not my place to live. I liked Malaysia. I lived in Malaysia myself, but I like to go there, just to for some days, then it's enough for me, because it's there is not a lot of green. You can, going to the beach is like, okay, do I get some rush or something? Because it's a bit strange, in the
Where'd
waters.
you live? Not in KL then? Johor?
No. I mean, like, no, in KL. I lived in KL. Okay. It was more for Singapore. It was a bit, I like Singapore, but not all year. Like for business, it's really it's a funny. It's like you said, it's a funny country. You get fined everywhere. But now Asia is generally like that. Like here as well, you get fined. So fined for anything, and you cannot even object, or it's just like that. It's the rules of the country, which makes as well at the same time good for to prevent something, so you know what you're going to face, so you don't do it, that's it, so anyway.
I mean, since we're talking about all those topics here right now, let me give another example, which is funny. It seems like we're not even getting into the business talk today, but maybe that's entertaining for the people as well. Sure. I mean, if you look at Singapore, I think within 50 years, they had like 250 campaigns running through the population, to train them to be strict, but to train them as well. And things were like, in some of the moments, it was like, hey, you shouldn't have, like China, you shouldn't have more than one or maximum 2 children. Or later they noticed, for example, Singapore said then we're stalling in growth, so have 3 kids or more when you can afford it. And other, like, really, believe it or not, but I mean, they had some campaigns of where they literally trained the population to say to not pee into the elevators, because it seemed to be quite common back then, I don't want to say about any culture, but quite a few cultures pee everywhere. And so they train them not to do those things anymore. And look at Singapore, how they grew within 50 years. And other things, don't throw away your cigarettes. I mean, you throw away a cigarette right now in Singapore, you get, if that cigarette at the same time is not from Singapore, from outside imported, I think you get, is that 10 or 20,000 Sing dollar fine? Wow. Back then it was already. But if you just flick away a cigarette and they see you doing that, $5,000 and 30 days in the park doing public service, cleaning up the parks. I mean, everything is spotless there. So you can understand where this drives the country, right? Oh, definitely. There need to be rules, somewhere. If people cannot behave, then, it has to be implemented. And as well for chewing gum, chewing gum, I think it's completely illegal, right? It's forbidden. Exactly. Yes. You're not allowed to have chewing gum. You can't buy it anywhere there. You shouldn't import it. Of course, everybody brings that, and, you don't spit it on the road. Yeah. No, it's really bad. Open your mouth. I'm sure you understand why. I'm sure you understand why, because, at 33 degrees, when you walk on it, I did it a lot of times. My son did it a lot of times. It's really, you cannot get it off from the shoes. It's disgusting. So we know why. Anyway, enough of chewing gum. Let's go into the business, So the first question would be, somebody comes to you, let's say a normal seller has like maybe, let's say $20,000, okay, and he says, okay, I don't know, I want to go Alibaba and get like, because the MOQ is a lot less, and I'm trying, and I'm going to spend maybe 10 and then put 10 into advertising. What can you suggest, and how can you help me? That's actually an awesome point that you're directly starting with money, because, to be honest, most of the sellers, especially if they're beginners or intermediate, not necessarily all of them come as like, so I have now this money, let's do something with it. It's a smart thinking. But at the same time, even to be honest, yes, just like you said, it all depends on how you spend the money. If you say you want to spend the majority in sales and marketing, or in making really good images, hint, 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 you're selling online, you're selling on Amazon, focus on your listing images, okay? This is it's probably the most important thing. Don't underestimate that. I mean, you have an expert sitting there also with, A+ content generation, listing optimization. Omar, I believe you know what I'm talking about. So guys, ask Omar of where you can spend the money there. But if you say at the same time, I don't want to really do any PPC, I'm getting into a niche where I don't necessarily have to spend so much PPC, because there's not so much competition, where you can spend your money elsewhere. Images is no question. You need to spend greatest images, and of course also SEO and listing in there. But now when it comes to the product, now this also depends. Do you want a high class product, which is like more expensive? How many units do you want to order? Or do you want a lower a lower priced product where you can order more units? It all depends, of course, on the price of the product, and as well of how many units need to be ordered. In order to answer that question, I mean, you can estimate it, of course, roughly. If it's a high-class product, depending on how the supplier is set up, how the production facility, how big they are, they may accept an MOQ of 50. Or some of them who are larger, and they say, hey, you know what? We need you to place orders of 5,000 units minimum. May also be the case. But the important thing is, one of the first things you should focus on understanding what makes a good sourcing. And a good sourcing makes, as a simple, very, very simple statement, is that you get enough proposals, or as many proposals, quotations as reasonable, so that you can compare the prices, you know the market price, and you can actually start negotiating. Don't focus just on 3 proposals.
So we don't just go to a manufacturer and say, put the money on the table and say, listen, I want to work with you now. Let's do it. So you really say, yeah, I have to. The best would be anyway to go there instead of writing emails behind a computer, because then there is misunderstandings. There is a lot of things which can go wrong. So the best, would you advise like to fly there and to negotiate directly with them, or do you think Zoom calls is enough?
If you have $20,000 only, you want to spend 10,000 in your products, you want to, or sorry, like 5,000 in your products, you want to spend another 10,000 in marketing, another 5,000 or 3,000, you have like 2,000 left. I was like, no, don't fly there. I mean, your flight costs alone, they will already, eat it up. I mean, you can do so much online. We do have a large team, one in China and then all over the rest of the world. But no, do everything online. I mean, you do have Alibaba, you do have all the platforms, you can contact them, everybody's reachable online. So for the first basic inquiry of getting the proposals, getting the quotations, no need to fly there. Also, you don't necessarily for your orders need to fly there. You can, for sure. This has a lot of advantages, no question. Of seeing them, getting to know them, showing them that you're serious about it. But at the same time, it's not absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Just speaking about what you just explained to us, let's go a little bit deeper into this topic. I mean, the global sourcing in general, the services that you provide, how is the whole process work? Because for me as a seller, if obviously I want products, but I don't have the time, I don't have the language knowledge. I have a little bit of funds which I can I can allocate to product sourcing, because we all know, my opinion is, if you want really to source, you need to know a little bit more about the world than just being at your computer. You have to travel, you have to go there, you have to understand that Chinese have a complete different mentality, and everything will be different. It's nothing as you know. So Sebastian is definitely the expert in that. He has been living there. He knows the up and downs. Maybe he knows a little bit of Chinese. I'm not sure. Do you speak Mandarin? Yeah,
good enough to survive. Definitely. Yep.
You see, so all of these things are very positive points in order to understand a different culture, the languages. We do the localization, so we know what we're talking about. So let us know how would this usually work, and how do you work with your suppliers, and how many people? Obviously, you might have more than one, or you have maybe 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Just give us a little bit overview of the process, and how beneficial would it be for a seller or for a big company even to come to you and say, listen, I need you to take over this. I cannot take it anymore. Please help us with this whole process.
And I'll try to put this also into words directly, so I don't necessarily want to pitch our services, but so you can understand, if you do this on your own, what are the things that you need to look out for. Do you want to make this on a specific example, or we just take any type of product, or I tell you anything on mind?
Yeah, obviously. So everyone knows what we love is baby products, home products, sports products, pet products. So let's stay in this category. Let's make it a baby product, which is not too expensive, around the $3 to $5 mark, which you can easily sell for $25 on Amazon.
Yeah. And let's imagine just any types of products, of course, that would fit into this range, whether it's probably not that cheap, but one of the things I want to see one day, please somebody develop it it may be a bit more expensive, but with a simple thought. It's quite difficult to get all the certifications. And the more difficult it is to get all the certifications, what do you do? What do you think your competitors are doing? They're not necessarily jumping all the hurdles, right? So if the barrier of entrance is quite high, you won't have that many competitors, because not everybody is willing to go the extra mile. So I was earlier thinking about, an electronic baby pacifier. It's a baby product. They take it in their mouth and it's electronics. So, there's quite a few things that you need to watch out for. What are the guidelines? And then it depends on where you're selling it. It may be that the US is not as strict as Germany or the other way around. But, this is, of course, definitely always one of the things that you should watch out for. Where are you selling it as well? And talking about buying it from. So, for example, if you're selling it inside the US, you first thing that comes up is like, China, China, China. Yeah, but 2018, Trump, and he invented his little Trump tariffs, or well, he didn't invent them, but it's anti-dumping taxes against goods that come from China, right? So I think in 2018, they started taxing a market which is worth, back then, I think it was already $250 billion, with 25% taxes on, or anti-dumping taxes on goods that come from China. Now, hint, fast forward to today's world, what we do as well is, of course, sourcing in many other countries. For US sellers, it could be interesting to get that same product from Vietnam, because maybe from Vietnam, it has 0% import tax. And I give you just as a basic example, let's go about this. I'm not going to say what the product was, but that's a real life story. Original price was $6 purchasing. We found the product, it was a super record within 3 hours. It's never going to happen again. But the same product from China, we found in Vietnam, same or better quality, 0% import tax and $1 cheaper. Amazing. And the cool thing about this is the seller sells 500,000 units of that a year. $1 cheaper. That is $500,000 of saving on per year on one product. Now, the second thing, and this is the much bigger one, 500,000 units times $6 is $3 million. And that product had 27% import tariffs, $810,000 on import taxes that you leave at the US border, right? So in sum, we saved them $1.31 million on that very first product per year. So not to show what we can do, but for you to focus on, should it be China? Could it be another country? Because saving $1.31 million a year, if you're that big, that's a lot of nice vacations. Or your next dream car, or whatever you want to buy. That's a lot of money just in savings. Now, whether we do this or somebody else or you do that, the important thing, let's just assume it's China or it's any other country. The principle is very much the same. What you want to do is not only find one or two suppliers that could produce the product for you, and maybe could produce the product for you, because of course you always need to find out. It's like, hey, you say you do that, but what does your quality really look like? And have you done it before, and all of those things. What I highly suggest anybody to do, if you mean it's serious about your business, because of the potential of saving money, is get yourself more proposals. 2 or 3 proposals, they don't cut it. Also 5 proposals, I would say, okay, then you have 2 high prices, maybe a medium and 2 low prices. And you go to the low price supplier and you talk with them, and then you go to the high price supplier and you talk with them, and they will tell us like, yeah, it's a different quality. I mean, standard answer in China, different quality, better quality. Of course, always anywhere they say that. And then they say, no, I cannot, give you those prices because it's a different quality. But now imagine you're aiming for what we do in China. We usually target to find about 30 potential producers. Why? Well, if it goes well, China usually, this is one of the fantastic things, you contact 30 people, you get 29 answers, and you get 28 prices with nearly no effort. Of course, you then need to go through the proposals, see which ones are valid, and so on and so on. But then you may have 10, 12, 15, maybe 20 valid proposals. Imagine you have 20 suppliers that you can pick from. You can check the qualities, but you can also negotiate. And that is the major thing. So with 3 proposals or 5 proposals, or maybe even 7 proposals, yeah, you maybe, but do you know the real market price? The real market price you do know when you get as many proposals as possible. So do it. do it on your own or hire somebody who does it for you, because yes, this is tedious work. This is a lot of headache. Do I like to do this for our own products as well? No. That's why, well, we started building our own business out of our own demand, so our team would do it for us. But again, if you have an internal team, tell them to get not only 3 or 4 proposals. The way then with working together, for example, is if you, let's say we have this baby product, whether it's a cuddly blanket or it's a pacifier, or pacifiers may be cheaper than what you were aiming for, but maybe some chewing toys or some whatever other products we will have. Target is to know what's the product. Maybe we have the link of the competitor. Obviously, all of you, I guess, you hopefully use Helium-10 or use Data Dive or use other tools in the market where, by the way, we have a huge list. You've seen this as well, Omar, with access to discounts or bonuses from all those tools, because we want to help you guys get those tools as well. Try them out because they are useful. No, we're not getting any affiliate. Feel free, ask. We'll send you the link. It's a list that's worth more than $20,000 by now in bonuses and discounts. But when you access the market and you use Helium-10, you use Data Dive, you know your niche, right? You know the main competitors, you know who you want to compete about, compete against. And then, of course, come with what needs to be improved. Hint, hint, how to do that? Well, read the negative reviews. Everybody knows that. What not everybody knows is, for example, use ChatGPT. Go to a product, take all the 1-star reviews, copy the whole page, put it in ChatGPT, take page 2, 3, and 4. I got it. And copy those negative reviews and put them into ChatGPT. Then take the same for 2-star reviews and maybe even 3-star reviews and tell ChatGPT, tell me the summary of the 10 most frequent problems. And all of a sudden, you know what you need to improve on, right? I mean, there are more and more tools coming out as well that tell you automatically, this product has that much of market niche potential. You can do this and that better. The listing optimization or the listing images from the competitor are so crappy. So in any way, go in and then you know what you need to improve. Once you know the product, you know the niche, you know the competitor, you know what to improve, then you know what to search for. And this is how you start searching for the 30. Outside of China, we usually target about 60 potential producers if the market offers that. Why? Because they don't answer as fast as the Chinese. Chinese are very sales driven. They really understood, I need to give service and sales. I want to be here. I want to answer your question. Yes, of course. Day and night, Sundays, Chinese New Year, I always answer. Quality is, of course, of the answer sometimes very undervalued, but hey, they answer, they show they're there. And once you have the proposals, then you can start working further. Look at the proposals, compare them, put them in a nice overview. That's at least what we do. And then pick 2, 3, 4, or maybe 5 of them where you say, all right, let's get them and let's get samples from them. But before you do that, or before we do that, also check the background of the suppliers. Is it a valid company? Are they registered? Do they have the export licenses? Have they produced that product before? Or are they just pretending to do so? Can they maybe, here, one of the things, did they produce for your competitors? And if they did for your competitors, then most likely they have an NDA and they tell you, your competitors, that they produced for them. Well, that's a little bit of a warning sign, because they may tell later also that they produce for you. So you want to find the producer of the competitor, but if they're good producers, they will not tell you because they're sticking to their NDA. Who is the management? Can you see that they're maybe involved into some legal lawsuits? Are they being sued somewhere? Are they involved in another company? Do all those background checks as far as you can do them. Language-wise, all of them speak English. Or no, that's not really true. The majority of them speaks English, but very often you find gold nuggets inside the Chinese market who, maybe don't even have a webpage. They're not on Alibaba. They're not on Yaoliobaba, which is the Chinese version of Alibaba for internal country among all the Chinese. But you may just find them, of course, you can only communicate in Chinese with them. What helps there is have a Chinese team. We're lucky enough to have, I think, currently 16, 17, somewhere around there, employees inside China who go into the factories, do the quality control and all the communication. But at the same time, if you have anybody who speaks Chinese, you may find the additional hidden gems in there. But majority will also speak English. Yeah, and then once you have done all of those checks, order the samples and just simply pay those $20 per piece or $50 per piece. Who cares? You want to build a business, right? So put them, if you want to consolidate them locally, especially when beginners usually do that. Oh, I would like to put all the products together and then consolidate and then send them over here to make the shipping cost cheaper. Yes, you can do that. It's also a good thinking to save money. But when you're really serious about the business and you want to get it started, don't think about, saving those $20, but think about the time that you lose. And when you have time lost, you could sell for 3 weeks extra if you would have moved faster. And all of those things come along the way. Next thing is for sure, check the quality of the samples.
Wow.
That was a lot of talking.
That's a lot. When I see and I know, I realize that we haven't even touched everything. We touched now only the sourcing. If we dig now deeper, to everyone that's listening, why I'm asking Sebastian these questions is because I want you to realize that we are now in 2023. A lot have changed in the world in the last years. We are not anymore in 2010, 2012, where you just, click the button and Alibaba will send you stuff borderless to any country where you don't pay any taxes, because even samples, they will charge you now, even samples. So everything is expensive. Everything is time consuming. If you run a company, you don't want to sit there and do your listing, source at the same time. You don't have time for this. You want somebody who do all these services for you. And that's why all these services out there. And that's why we do this podcast, for people to understand what is going on and how can they actually save their time, because we have done it all. It's, we're doing this every day. So that is the reason why I want to show it. And Sebastian just touched a little bit on the points what they're doing, but he didn't speak yet about the molding, for example, that it needs to be done as well. Maybe another competitor has already the mold, so you need to mold it differently. Then shipping, who's gonna pay the customs? Who's gonna ship the goods up to Amazon or to any other e-commerce marketplace in the world? So these are a lot of questions you will have to run down. I'm saying this because at the moment, for example, I'm getting into Noon. Noon is a marketplace in the UAE, and trust me, it's not easy. It's another Amazon, and you will need time in order to understand how these things work. So if you don't have anybody who actually doing this for you, you will spend your time instead of building your business, you will spend your time in these things. So what I want to say is really reach out to Sebastian, reach out to me, or to it don't matter. There's companies out there which have the answer. Don't try it on your own. It's just an advice, because you will lose your money, you will lose your time, and everything is so easy. So let's do all business together, and work together and connect together and make this all an easier place, cross-border less, especially for those who are doing the shipping as well, like Sebastian out here. Yeah. And there is still a few points to talk about. For example, can you tell us a point or something you would suggest in general to anyone who wants to go into e-commerce or into sourcing, all in this type of business in general?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I think I'd like to directly connect to what you just said, whether to do it themselves or not. My suggestion is actually anything you do in a business, whether it's the bookkeeping, the accounting, writing invoices, searching products, doing quality control, writing listings, doing your first images. My suggestion is, depending on how loaded you are with money, but the majority, of course, of the founders is not, do those things on your own, at least for the first time, maybe two or three times, until you notice there comes that little switch of like, hey, you know what? All right, I've done it. I know how much effort it is. I know what is important to me during those processes, what should be achieved. But is it worth spending my time doing those things? Or hint, hint, one of the most difficult things and in businesses, and one of the biggest reasons why businesses fail, is they cannot sell themselves. They don't know how to sell and do marketing and all of those things. So I think there's like studies in there, right? That 90% or so of startups fail within the first 5 years, mostly due to the reason because they don't focus on sales and marketing. So also I'm saying myself is, instead of doing the operations one day yourself and either building up your own team or having experts from the outside coming in, whenever you notice like, hey, my time would be spent better on doing sales and marketing, doing revenue generating activities, then find ways with your own team or with partner companies to say, you know what, you guys, and by the way, when you notice something, I suck at making images, I suck at making graphics. If you look at my graphics, I've done a mistake. I've done for the first 6 years everything on my own with my brands, and you guys notice I talk a lot. My images look the same. That much text. Nobody reads it. Nobody likes it. So by now I work with 3 or 4 agencies. I like to test always different ones who do the images for me. And then I look at the results like, whoa, I could not have done that. And yep, of course they sell better. So I give the things away to experts like bookkeeping. To be honest, I hate bookkeeping.
Oh, the worst ever. I'm running.
Exactly. And give those things away. So I think one of the hints that I'd like to go in here and give you is, don't run the same treadmill over and over again just because you know it. You know that the only growth, or the growth, is there when you're outside your comfort zone. When you step into new things and you learn new things, this is where growth happens. Everything else, of course, needs to be done. It needs to be operated. You need to have a solution, and you will start building processes, and all of a sudden there's like a switch in your head where it's like, whoa, okay, I'm building processes for my business. This whole thing starts to become a machine. So I can focus my time on spending a lovely time now with Omar, and of course, talking way too much to you. I'm sorry about that, but this turns out all of a sudden to be the things like, wow, I do like that. And the same way you can do it in a service business or in a product business, watch yourself and start thinking, okay, when is the moment to hire somebody for that in-house or externally, who are the real experts? And when it comes to hiring experts externally, I think one of the things is, do I want to now spend time hiring a person for the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years until they're at the level where I would like to have them? Or do I say, no, I mean, this is a task somebody else, a company can do, get them in, pros, you go. That's why, I mean, when it comes to not only listing translations, but real localizations, I mean, you guys know Omar, when it comes to doing localizations based on the country, knowing the right keywords, optimizing the SEO, doing the A+ content. I mean, how many languages you guys speak? 8 or so, right?
Yeah, we have 8, but now we added as well Arabic, so it's around 10 now. Yeah.
I mean, you can probably
and Japanese, yeah, obviously, and Japanese.
Yeah. I mean, there's not so many people who would really, know Japanese and do that successfully before I would go into the Japanese market. Because just try this out as an example. Go to Google Translate or DeepL or whatever, take an English sentence, put it into Chinese, take the same Chinese sentence, put it from Chinese to English, and you'll see even from this small thing, there will already be differences. And before I would learn this or have somebody in-house and train them with a real, Omar, do the listing for me in Japan, please.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. What I wanted to add as well is, because you were completely right. Before you hire somebody, you should know a little bit at least. It's the same as when you hire somebody for working with you. You should at least know a little bit about the position that you're gonna give to them, in order as well to explain to them everything. So what I wanted to say, maybe it came through like that, but don't just hire somebody. first understand actually what needs to be done and what you want to be done. And then inform yourself a little bit. You don't have to be an expert in it. That's the experts are out there, but just, you know, familiarize yourself a little bit to it, and then you can hire. I think this is exactly what you wanted to add in there, and very, very good one, Sebastian. A part of that, where can anyone get in contact with you? Because I see here there is a QR code, right?
All right. What is the?
There's a QR. Is the QR code working? It's working. It's working. It's working.
It is working.
Yes.
Awesome. By the way, back there you see behind there standing one of my other brands as well. I have a few more banners also standing here for the other businesses. So
very interesting.
If it's working. Hold on.
It should work. It should work. It works. It goes to Calendly, right?
That should be to Calendly, and I think it's from our team gets a calendar entry in there. Yeah. Else besides that, I mean, yeah, where do we see each other? On LinkedIn, you find Sebastian Herz with a few Chinese characters, and yes, like you say, the connector in between. Sebastian the connector. Herz is actually what my Chinese name means. And the same on Facebook. Find me on Facebook. Where else? People have my WhatsApp number by now, sometimes a few too many. But I think we also have, you can't probably see it, just hello@zignify.net. Signify, where is it there? Spelled with a Z and with a Y in the end.
Okay.
Very easy. Just message us there. And if you want to have the list, the discount list to, I mean, the list has far more than $20,000 worth in bonuses and discounts. Just ask, we'll send it to you. Other than that, I think we will be posting together online, Omar, aren't we?
We will on LinkedIn. There's gonna be some fun. We're gonna post it, I guess, in a few days. It will be on.
Do me a favor, actually, help Omar right now at the moment. Tell him, send him a quick message, just one word, like, hey guys, where are you actually active? And if you're active on Twitter, just send him Twitter. If you're active on LinkedIn, just send him LinkedIn or Facebook. So maybe that's a cool feedback for Omar actually as well, where he can be active, and I'm gonna learn from him.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for your time. That was a great talk, lots of information, and yeah, it's product sourcing is definitely something which, you know, people need to talk a lot more about and get a lot more educated about, because it's not that easy to click just on Alibaba. We got the real deal here. So thank you so much, Sebastian, for the session today.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me.